You're listening to Your Brain on Air. The program will begin shortly. Enjoy. நீங்கள் உங்கள் மூளையின் ஒளிபரப்பை கேட்கிறீர்கள். நிகழ்ச்சி விரைவில் தொடங்கும். மகிழுங்கள்.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Your Brain on Air. I am your host, Ollie Volt Larson. And folks, it's official. Engineers and scholars, they are crowding up the streets once again as the warm season floods in. I don't know if you're feeling it in your area, but we certainly are over here. It was a 40-degree day yesterday. I mean, God. The cardboard signs and the unshowered hair, it's lining up at every single stoplight of the Red River Valley, folks. It's everywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, they're back. The homeless people, they're back at it again. The winter months, they're receding, and as a result, we're losing the streets once again to the mongrels for the summer. Global warming, it's been nice for, the walks in February and whatnot, but if my path is lined with tents, people under bridges, like trolls, I do need to say something about it. I mean, Lindenwood Park and Gooseberry Park, obviously right across the river, they're, a wooded flock zone for these people. They live out in the woods, in these little constructed sheds. They live like witches in the far-off wood in these old English texts that you used to have to read in like literature class. And you can literally see their camp from the parking lot and the playground. You walk off on these trails of these parks, and the torn clothes of either said mongrel or their unfortunate victims just line the leaf-ridden paths. And the scattered nip bottles, the nip bottles that your dad used to buy in order to give himself a little boost throughout the day, the Fireball, the Bailey's Irish Cream, the good shit, that's what lines it's not a nice little park anymore in the Fargo Moorhead area. It's kind of a dump. It's like, it's not a fun area to be in. And unfortunately, the residents will tell you that. They had a community meeting about this whole situation not too long ago. This was literally a year ago, per se, where said fella comes up to the mic wearing this dirty shirt, and I'm going to put it in the description so you guys can watch it for yourself, but we're going to skip around, obviously, because it's a little unfocused, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to review what this fella has to say. I'm going to paint the picture for you. He's at the Fargo City Hall meeting, and, they have the stupid little City of Fargo, far more, whatever. This was August 5th, 2024, and this was 2 years ago. You know what I mean? It's the city itself was already entering a state of decline. It's been in a state of decline for when it comes to the homeless population for a while, to the point where they're community representatives. You know what I mean? This man appointed himself the one who will speak for the homeless of Fargo. So he is just a little glasses fella. He's got a gray, dirty T-shirt on. He's a little skinny. He's gangly, but not in a. I'm gonna say it in this way. He's like a skeleton. You know what I mean? Just frail looking. That's the best way to say it. Let's begin with his remarks.
My name is Elizabeth Cook. I am one of the...
His name is Elizabeth Cook. Curious, but all right.
Citizens of Fargo who actually currently lives on these streets.
Lives on the streets, but you're not a resident of Fargo. If you live in the city, but you don't own property, if you don't... that's like that. Sorry, buddy. You visit Fargo. I don't know what you mean by it's your home. You don't have a home. You don't have a place to belong.
Know how this is like. I've seen the opposition to it. I've seen our side of it.
He's very, by the way, you can tell that he is half high right now. He's like, I've seen the proposal about why the city of Fargo really wants to make public camping illegal, but man, it seems like a form of oppression, man. That's here. And
basically, in my opinion, I don't think that making it illegal to camp on public property is really justifiable, or
why?
Nor is it right?
Why?
As every single person in this town is an equal.
No, they're not.
Regardless.
No. Equal of what? In regards to their rights? Yes, every person has equal rights. You do not have a right to camp on public property, though. It's public property as in it belongs to the community. You are not entitled to community property. You're not entitled to strewn about your items. You're not allowed to pitch up a tent in the park. You're not allowed to do those sorts of things. It's against the public's interest for you to be making a nuisance of yourself like that.
Title or position in the community.
Not true.
I've been through this a time or two. I know what it's
So
like.
you can already see that he's coming at it from the socialist angle. No one really owns anything, man. The earth is just kind of... We all share it, and we should all have the same rights to the same level of property. And just to be throwing fuckers in jail for one night, or 30 nights is what he said, literally, at the end of his speech. He goes, 1 to 30 nights, what does it even matter, guys? Like, let's just get real, guys, man.
Like, I go to the engagement center where we're doing all these things to help people. I'm a client there. I've got friends that are there.
Sound like a client there.
I'm one step in the right direction. We're pushing forward towards moving toward housing for us, for our 2 other people in my family. And in my opinion, I just don't think that
If you're interested in housing, then you shouldn't be interested in camping in the park.
It's fair to charge people or fine them just to camp somewhere, whether it's for a night or it's 30 days.
Yes.
It doesn't seem right in my heart to just push
heart.
people who are already at their lowest to continue to be brought down further.
Really?
I highly disagree with this motion.
Well, good thing you're not an elected official. Let's hear this very succinct, solid response from one of the sitting members of the board. As you can see, she'll probably give her name. I don't know.
No, I'm sorry. John did a recommendation to change the motion. I need a motion.
I need a motion. God, shut up.
Can I just...
Tim Mahoney, stop instructing these fucking meetings if you can't keep up with the energy of the room. I need someone to make a motion. Can I speak on this? Yes, Boss Queen, you can.
Make a comment
Yes, you
on this? That it's not illegal to be homeless, and no one is saying that. However, you have residents who are fearful for their lives. There was a rape this weekend under the bridge. There have been I cannot even tell you how many emails and phone calls I get of people fearful for their lives to walk on the trails and under the bridge. They've been attacked, they've been accosted. Proposition asked...
And he goes, what's the issue with that? It's those people's rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that they're allowed to take your watch. They're allowed to harass your children if you take them to the park on some random day because... Well, this is when they were trying to, looking to remove homeless encampments in high-profile areas, and I support the motion wholeheartedly, and any decent-minded person on this would, because they realize that vagrancy, camping out on the streets, avoiding homeless shelters is the choice that cowboys make. The choice that these off-the-grid fuckers who want to, like I say, eat beans out of a can and they want to sit next to a fire. Hey, that way of life is dead. And it's not real anymore. And if you can only do that if you make enough money to have a van that you can drive off to some part of Alaska where no one's going to give a fuck about you, so that you can go off in some state park and camp. That's how you can camp. You can't do it in the streets. You can't do it in a society anymore. It's just not allowed.
For needles, their nakedness,
Yes.
their defecation into the
Nakedness, defecation into the river. By the way, that's exactly why no one eats from the Red River, because they know that it's filthy.
river. It's unsanitary and it's unsafe. And it's not fair to every other citizen.
The people who pay property tax, who pay to live in the society, it's not fair to them. The people who make something of themselves every day, rather than fuck-offs like this guy who can't even bother to put on a collared shirt when he's showing up in front of the fucking board of the city that he claims to be a resident of.
Who should also be able to use these
Clown
trails
ass.
and
Yes.
enjoy our downtown to have to come across this.
Yes.
Do I have a motion, please?
Not controversial.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. People are signed up for public comments. John, it's our rules. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, I have a few comments and questions for Nancy, if that's okay. So the ordinance, I think, is excellent, Nancy. The sixth whereas, where it starts, the title of it is, a municipal code relating to camping on public property. That sixth one veers into the homelessness thing, and I think that's a separate, I wish that could be a separate thing included in the resolutions. To me, that would be my only request, that we keep the ordinance tight and focused on the eliminating camping on public property. That's my request.
That's my
request.
You're not
I'm very
solutions
comfortable with
oriented.
all that. The resolutions, to me, that's a separate thing where we start getting into a lot of different things, and I do think
Well, you know what? Okay, if I was on the board of the city of Fargo, which I'm not saying I'm running, which you know what I mean, I might have to go across the river, I might have to establish my feet in that city for a couple of years, I might have to door knock, and I might have... Listen, it'll be a very Huey Long situation. If I ever get into a place of power, I'm never leaving. That's the situation. You will see me die in a place of power before I give it up. That's just a fact. Here's the solution. Homeless shelters are the only option. If I propose this, Fargo, we do that thing in is it Snowpiercer? Yes, where we pump into the atmosphere a bunch of shit to make it super extra cold. I'm proposing a global freeze out, and anyone unfortunate enough to not have access to property or family with property is taken in what we call the Great Freeze. In the history books, we will say that it was we couldn't have planned for this. This was just like a once in every 1,000 year out of a freeze out or whatever. But we won't say that it was government made, government oriented, whatever. We're gonna freeze out the entirety of the populace, and only the people who are decent enough to be automatons who go to work every day, good goyim. Only those folks who are able to afford property. Those people are the only ones that we will allow to continue throughout the civilization. It's a beautiful vision, folks. If you have a better final solution, I'd like you to leave it in the comments, because quite frankly, the vagrancy, we got to address it. We got to do something about it. Folks, I mean, I wanted to come at you today with a fun story to start out, because quite frankly, we got to jump into, obviously, the lawmakers viewing the unredacted Epstein files for the first time. How interesting. We'll get into the 84-year-old broad that nobody really cares about who's dead, Nancy Guthrie. Pfft, no one gives a shit. She's dead. Everybody knows it. I understand that Savannah put out a video begging for people's final or whatever. Like, you're a paid actress at this point. No one knows. Everybody knows it. Don't even fucking try to come across my TikTok feed one more time. I'm going to scroll aside. Because quite frankly, you can release as many bullshit. You can release as many side angles. Oh, here we have a new doorbell cam. It's a man with a ski mask or something like that. She's dead and no one cares. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is a case that no one would ever give a shit about unless it was to distract from some other major case. So let's talk about the case that we really should be talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Let's begin. Woo! Lawmakers, they're viewing the unredacted Epstein files for the first time. I mean, members of Congress, they've entered what is called the secure reading room. I mean, I had something like that, but it was at the Special Ed Institute at the Roosevelt Elementary. It was beautiful. They viewed the unredacted portions of the Jeffrey Epstein files for the first time, guys. It's a high-stakes review. It's following the public release of over 3 million documents just this last month, which, I'm going to be so honest with you, no one in your life has read. No one in your mom hasn't read them, your dad hasn't, your sister, your brother, no one in your life has read these files. No one in your life is going through on email servers. No one is actually, you know what the most people are getting off of this? They are getting, maybe they scroll through their TikTok feeds and then they get one guy, maybe he's like a beardo and he's like pointing at like a green screen behind him saying, this is why, here's the connection between this email and this famous person. And then they, in their minds go, oh yeah, I know it's a bunch of rich people doing bad shit, and then they scroll on, and then they keep watching whatever it is that they're doing. You know what I mean? No one actually is going in on a ground research level and poring over the fact that, oh, maybe it's weird that, like, the fat deposits in his face look different in that photo, but it's weird that there's a photo of what appears to be Epstein, you know, burning a little girl with like a magnifying glass as she's strapped to the grass. It's really bizarre that you see all these videos of what appear to be girls cleaning these ceremonial altar areas. It appears to be these like less than 10-year-old girls or whatever, like up on this thing that looks like they would sacrifice someone on an altar. It's this huge circular thing, and they're cleaning it with a bucket and shit like that. And then the people are saying that there's blood and whatnot, and then you get into the fact that there's people being thrown into the sea, allegedly, that there was cannibalism at these parties, and every single person that was going, yeah, man, I'm a Democrat, but I'm not loyal to, like, fuck it. I'm fine if this takes down Clinton. I'm fine if this takes down all of them. I'm fine if this takes down everybody. Or like the Trump supporters who went, I'm fine if this takes down Trump. I'm fine if this takes down anything. And then you actually go talk to these people, you press them on any of their opinions, and they go, it's just rich people, man. Like, people from our own side did a bunch of weird shit, but why are you obsessing over the word goyim? It's not weird for ethnic groups to have words for outsiders. It's, like, not weird at all. For you to be focusing on goyim in all of these emails, goyim actually, it can be used in multiple ways. It can actually be used positively or negatively. It's actually used more often for Jews to signal to other Jews that they're Jews. It's not actually in any hurtful way against the people that they're referring to as goyim. You have to be a major class retard in order to buy any of that, because it's obvious that they're referring to goyim in all of these emails in a negative context. And by the way, that is an excuse that they put out for the people who are never going to read the emails, who are just going to hear, yeah, sure, they talked about goyim in the emails, but the media said that it's normal for Jews to have terms for outside groups or whatever. It's just excuses. It's just excuses, nonsense. People who are still traditional Democrats or Republicans will always come up with, man, it's just rich people. Rich people have always done this, which is to some extent true and always will be true, but they're not willing to admit anything has a core to it. They're not willing to admit that he might have had an involvement with Mossad or the CIA. They're not willing to admit that the people at the heart of these operations are Jewish supremacists. No one wants to talk about Jewish supremacy. It's a dirty word. For some odd reason, we can target Christian nationalism. Oh, these groups of Christian nationals. Oh, the Christians, man, they're out to get you. But then for some reason people don't go, hey, you're generalizing all Christians. You're generalizing all Christians. No, I'm talking about Christian supremacists and the Christians who operate with this point of view. You're not talking about all Jews when you're talking about this Jewish supremacist group at the center of the Epstein cabal. It's ridiculous. It's not all Jews, but it is Jewish supremacists, and it's Jews at the heart of the operation. Just as though Christian supremacists can operate a Christian supremacy type of thing like we've seen in one battle after another. That's an example that the fucking normies will be able to understand. Whatever. Here we have, ladies and gentlemen, we have Congress members. They're being denounced right now over the unredacted Epstein files.
I would like to give the DOJ a chance to say they made a mistake and over-redacted.
What?
And let them unredact those men's names.
Nice.
That would probably be the best way to do it. I mean, what we're after is the men who Jeffrey Epstein trafficked women to. We want those.
According to Kash Patel, he didn't traffic to anybody, and according to every Democrat and Republican I've ever met, it was only a couple bad people, but no one that's currently serving, no one that'll currently be running in 2028.
Those names published. We're not out to embarrass people, and the problem is we went in there hoping to see that in 302 forms. What we found out is those 302 forms were redacted before they got to the DOJ.
None of this is designed to be a witch hunt. Just because someone
Hell yeah,
in the
Rokana.
files doesn't mean that they're guilty. But there are very powerful people who raped these underage girls. It wasn't just Epstein and Maxwell, or showed up to the island, or showed up to the ranch, or showed up to the home, knowing underage girls were being paraded around, and some of the sickening stuff in there about the violence. And what we want to do is have the investigation to get to those people, to answer those questions.
I love so much how the normie population, I know a lot of them, the people that are just they're let's call them they're not political savvy. They are political knowledgeable, as in they feel like they know a little bit more about politics than the entirety of their family, because maybe they watch the news a little bit more, maybe they do whatever. Maybe they keep up on The View, maybe they watch MSNBC, maybe they watch John Oliver, but they have some news source that makes them feel very confident in their point of view and their position. They don't take in from all points of view. They're not political inists, you know what I mean? People who are into politics, people who will look up things from the Free Press, from Fox News, from shit that normally no one would ever be checking around the areas. What I'm trying to say is there's different variables. You can be politically savvier than the average person, or you can be involved in politics. You can know about it. You can be interested in what's coming out every day. And the normies is what I'd say a lot of people are at, where maybe they vote Democrat or Republican because generally maybe their family has supported it their entire lives, whatever. You respond to them and you go, isn't it weird that the Pizzagate thing was like kind of right? Like a little bit. Like you go to them and you go, listen, we can talk about how QAnon had elements that were insane, JFK Jr. being alive, excuse me. There's a lot of shit that we can talk about that's nuts, that conspiracy theorists try to push forward. But like pizza and hot dogs, it was in the emails. It was confirmed. It was true. It was released by the DOJ. And when you talk to them about it, they will go, hey, man, don't start talking like a... And it's like, I'm not talking like anything. I'm talking about facts. I'm not talking like anything. And I love that so much. You get this response from a lot of people where they go, hey, quit talking so much like a Democrat. Hey, you're sounding a bit like a Republican here. Anybody who says anything close to that is intellectually small-minded and afraid of ideas that challenge them. And that's just a really good thing to keep in your mind all the time. That maybe your family, maybe your friends are not the most politically savvy, not most politically knowledgeable or whatever. You can just drop little bits of truth where you can go, the pizza thing was kind of true. The pizza thing was kind of true. Like, it was unredacted in the files. It was right there. It was clearly visible that a couple administrations were shipping in $65,000 of how much. I've never heard of anybody buying $65,000 worth of pizza. That sounds crazy. Whatever. And then these people will just go, I guess the conspiracy theorists, they were like 1/4 right. They will never, ever give the conspiracy theorists their due, which is unfortunate. The conspiracy theorists were right, and unfortunately, a lot of people just don't want to admit it on this one.
This morning, a new document coming to light claims in the mid-2000s, President Trump called police about Jeffrey Epstein. Among the 3 million Epstein files released by the Department of Justice last month is a 4-page FBI report on an interview the Bureau conducted in 2019 with a man believed to be former Palm Beach Police Chief Michael Ryder. Ryder and his detectives began investigating Epstein for human trafficking in 2004. According to the document, Trump called Ryder around that time and said, "Thank goodness you're stopping him. Everyone has known he's been doing this." Ryder also says Trump said he threw Epstein out of his club, and he was around Epstein once when teenagers were present, and Trump got the hell out of there. The police chief says Trump...
Do we believe that? I believe that the interaction happened, but the person himself going, I saw the underage girls, I got the hell out of there, though. I don't know if I'd believe that.
Told him to focus on Epstein's associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, saying she is evil.
Did you have any suspicions that he was molesting young women,
No,
underage women?
I had no idea.
Trump has long denied having any knowledge of Epstein's crimes, but
that's very different from these claims from a supposed police chief.
Ryder says Trump was one of the very first people to call when people found out that they were investigating Epstein. Maxwell appeared from prison for a congressional deposition.
Yes! Okay, we're gonna review this queen, actually. Ladies and gentlemen, this will be our final venue into the Epstein shit for today, and then we'll get on to some other stuff, because obviously we gotta talk about some of the shit around the Minnesota gubernatorial candidate's daughter getting shot in St. Cloud, but we're gonna talk about that later. Ghislaine Maxwell, she pled the fifth during her deposition. Look at this icy queen. I know that Adventure Time fans, they're going, what's Ice Queen? It is a bitch who serves cunt icier than fresh out of the freezer like a popsicle. Let's watch.
Ms. Maxwell, were you a close friend and confidant of Jeffrey Epstein?
I would like to answer your question, but on the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer this question and any related questions. My habeas petition is pending in the Southern District of New York. I therefore invoke my right to silence under the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution.
By the way, she looks like a little Chinaman in this video. They got her in like this button down that's like beige. It's got the short sleeves and it's got a collar, and she's got these glasses on with this really short iconic haircut, but it makes her look like a little Chinaman. She looks like she's stacking towels at a spa. But she looks like, or she'd give a banger massage. Either or. She doesn't have tits. Have you noticed that too? She's kind of flat chested. No slander. I like to observe people's bodies, how they do. You know what I mean? She's got this absolute cat sitting next to her. This woman sitting at this MacBook. She's very cat-like energy. She's serving cat. Continue.
Let the record reflect that Ms. Maxwell has invoked the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination. Ms. Maxwell, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Oh, queen shit.
Maxwell, did you at any time play any role in Jeffrey Epstein's activities involving the recruitment, grooming, or trafficking of young women or girls?
Did you?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Fuck yes. This is exactly what I trained her to do.
That Miss Maxwell has invoked.
I said, Queen, you're going to get in there. I said, Queen. We were on the phone last night, and I said, Queen, you're going to get in there, and you're going to say, I plead the Fifth, and they are going to have nothing on. Because she's Brit. She didn't understand exactly what she was getting into. And I went ahead and I said to her, we're going to, listen, legal counsel in this country is different. We do, like, we're in the land of the good old boys. You know what I mean? The Crown, it's not convicting over here. So we have ways of scooting around public opinion. We have the justice system in the United States is a lot less draconian than the one they have over there in the UK, sister. And then she went, Ollie, I'm rather scared. I don't know what they're going to do to me. And I told her, listen, as long as you plead the Fifth in the United States, the majority of the time, the people will be sympathetic if you can look sad enough. And I told her, put on the glasses, put on the old lady look, put on the lesbian cut, because inadvertently it makes her look less powerful. It makes her look sympathetic. It makes her, and when she just goes in there, she doesn't make it messy. She doesn't get emotional. She just says in plain English, I plead the Fifth. I told her that's the kind of shit that's going to have us on a beach in Miami in a few years celebrating her release. I'm just saying it.
Incrimination. Miss Maxwell, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
Incriminate you.
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Miss Maxwell, have you ever coerced, directed, or otherwise instructed any young woman or girl to provide sexual favors to Mr. Epstein or any other individual?
Now, this would have been a good one to say no to, but we did not want her to lie. So that's the issue. That's the main issue, is that I never wanted to get her to lie. Because once you get someone lying in oath on, that's perjury. So I told her, you can't lie. And she was like, I just won't say no. And I said, well, and I understand in the UK, maybe the punishments are different, but in the United States, that's perjury and that's an additional charge. And she went, oh no. So I just told her, Fifth Amendment all the way.
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Let the record reflect
Yes, Queen.
that Ms. Maxwell has invoked the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination. Ms. Maxwell, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Yes.
Ms. Maxwell, did you and Jeffrey Epstein attempt to surround yourselves with influential individuals to curry favor and shield yourselves from potential scrutiny?
Clearly not, because she surrounded herself with me. She clearly didn't care very much about her image. That's I'm not an influential figure. I'm a defluential figure. I'm not somebody that people are gonna be like, oh, you hung around with that vast intellect, Ollie Vogt Larson. You hung out with the host of Your Brain on Air. Not a lot of people are gonna be taking that as a most prideful moment in their career. They're gonna go like, oh yeah, it's kind of like a moment of meeting. What's a good comparison for me? What's a good comparison? Daniel Larson, another Larson, because you know what I mean? It's just one of those lol cows. It's one of those people on the internet. They keep putting out content. No one really knows why they're doing it. It's kind of embarrassing, quite frankly, when you look at it under the hood, but ultimately, it is their grand vision, and it is going to be their legacy. Standing aside everything else they've ever made, this will be their legacy, ladies and gentlemen. That's just me and Daniel Larson. I'm fine with my place in the annals of internet history, and if you don't like it, I'm thanks. I appreciate the sympathy. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot more news to cover. We got a lot more shit. Minnesota, if you don't know, they're having a gubernatorial race. Gubernatorial, very fun word, goofy one that doesn't, honestly, you wouldn't think that has anything with the governor position. Gubernatorial, maybe you do if you're an entomology person, but anyways. Two more GOP candidates have bowed out of the Minnesota gubernatorial race, but that's not the biggest thing coming out of the race today, as a matter of fact, so let's just go ahead and get into it. Oh, the race for the Minnesota governor's mansion, guys, it's upended this week as the Republican field is narrowing a lot. A lot of series departures have happened, serious ones, as a matter of fact, including one marked By an unimaginable family tragedy, folks. The Minnesota GOP confirmed Monday that candidate Jeff Johnson, a former St. Cloud City Council member, has suspended his campaign after the violent death of his 22-year-old daughter, Haley Tobler. Haley was found in her St. Cloud apartment over the weekend, the victim of what authorities are describing as a domestic homicide. Her husband has since been charged with second-degree murder, leaving the Johnson family at the center of a Minnesota community, at the central Minnesota community in the state of deep mourning. Excuse me, God, I gotta work on the way that I read shit. Anyways, real sad. This is clearly, I mean, what's her name? Lisa Damuth is doing flips in her heels. She's happy about the fact that this is limiting the campaign pool a little bit. If you don't know, the candidates aren't looking great. Mike Lindell is quite frankly the one that I'm hoping for the most when it comes to the GOP candidates, because I think that he has the charisma. I think that he doesn't have decent policy, but in regards to his savviness, he will wreck the state and the entirety of it the first day he gets into office. But that doesn't matter to me, because I will just leave. Because Minnesota, quite frankly, it is my home state. It's a place I've always been prideful of, but I've always had the mentality of a nomad, where it's like, if things will get bad enough, I will just go to somewhere where I like it better. You know what I mean? I'll move to a state like North Dakota that believes in freedom. I'll move to a state with a stand your ground law. I'll move somewhere where the place just fits my morals. I'm going to be honest with you. And in regards to their state tax, I mean, their fucking overreach and whatnot, the over policing. Minnesota has a lot of things that are just making me go, I think I'm going to skip. I think I'm going to go bye-bye for the next couple of years. I don't know. I'm giving it some thought, quite frankly, because it's imploding. And it's making me nervous that if I ever start making money off of this operation, that I'm going to have to headquarters this bitch in North Dakota, because I don't want Minnesota to be taking this fucking tax. I'm sorry. It's just the truth. I don't want your Brain on Air's money taken by the state tax going over to El Shabab. That's not my favorite.
Check. Tonight, former St. Cloud City Council member Jeff Johnson is suspending his GOP campaign for governor after...
Honestly, St. Cloud, a city, more like a settlement.
His daughter was killed in an apparent domestic incident. It happened Saturday night on the south side of St. Cloud. Police say officers found 22-year-old Hallie Tobler dead from stab wounds and believe her husband committed the crime. Danny Spiewak joins us now live from St. Cloud with the very latest on this investigation. Danny?
Danny?
Well, the news of Jeff Johnson's daughter's death this weekend has really shaken the city of St. Cloud. Jeff Johnson is very well known here. He was a city council member from 2010 to 2018, through the year 2018, and was in the middle of running for governor, seeking the GOP nomination here in Minnesota for 2026, but is suspending that campaign now to focus on his family after this tragedy.
Well,
on Saturday night,
if anything, that is when duty calls. That is when you when you face tragedy, that is a moment that we really need to see your resolve. And clearly this guy, he just showed, I mean, if he's not willing to let his own daughter die, I guess that, like, what resolve does he have to be governor? I don't know.
St. Cloud police responded to an emergency call.
You gotta let,
this
you know,
complex on the south side of town.
You gotta be able to deal with it.
Investigators say they found 22-year-old Hallie Tobler, the daughter of GOP governor candidate Jeff Johnson, dead with stabbing wounds. St. Cloud police say they believe Hallie's husband, who was taken into custody with self-inflicted wounds, is the person responsible for Hallie's injuries and death.
There really are no words to describe the grief and anger. I mean, nobody should go through this.
Minnesota GOP Chair Alex Plekish spoke with Jeff Johnson shortly after the death of his daughter.
My heart goes out to him and his family, especially in the circumstances that we're discovering.
Johnson
people murder
served on
people,
the
man.
St. Cloud City Council from 2010 through 2018. This year, he launched a long-shot bid to seek the GOP nomination for governor, finishing 8th in an informal straw poll of voters last week.
He has ended his campaign. He may have used the word suspended. That would allow for him to pick it up again, but yesterday.
Can you imagine? You're like, I'm back from the ashes. I'm back. My 22-year-old, imagine that's the campaign slogan. It's like 22 years of life for 4 years of office, and then that's his campaign slogan, and that's what wins it for him. Minnesotans, they're bleeding hearts. I've always said that about the state of Minnesota. I love the state of Minnesota. I love its people. They're really, really kind, but they're so kind that they will smile at you as you are raping them. I'm sorry to say it. It's a fact. It's a fact of nature. They are willing to, It's sad to say it. They are the types of people who will sit at diner counters and talk with their brothers and sisters about how good their kids are. And their kids are like off, globetrotting, maybe fighting in wars that they don't agree with or whatever, but they're very banal people. The Minnesotans are not people of strong opinions, but they are very, very radical, which is very different. Strong opinions in the sense where they're not willing to shout you down over them, but they want full wealth redistribution. They want, like, take from the wealth, give to the poor, even though the wealthy pay 40% of their income already. They're like, don't even give a fuck, steal their millions. It's like, you talk to any normal Minnesotan, they're extremely radically minded people, and they don't even realize that the majority of the policies they support are from mostly white countries, ethno-states like Norway, Sweden, all those places, where the population is homogenized, which very much it is not in Minnesota. So let's just cut the shit, guys. Let's cut the shit.
That was in the cards
The
at all.
leading GOP candidates in the governor's race have also issued their own condolences. GOP House Speaker Lisa Demuth said her prayers are with the Johnson family every step of the way. As a parent, I can't imagine the grief and devastation they're experiencing right now. Businessman Kendall Qualls and State Representative Kristen Robbins also said they were heartbroken by the news. And on the Democratic side, U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar, who is now running for governor, said she is sending prayers to the Johnson family.
Oh, I think this is...
She's like, I'm so sorry for you clearing the field. And then she does the thing where she was going to give him the hand to lift him up, and then she, like, slicks her hair back.
One place when all sides can get together and agree on sympathy for a family in circumstances like this.
The suspect in this case, Hallie's husband, is in police custody in St. Cloud police custody, but is in the hospital. He is expected to be transported to Stearns County Jail and will be held there, according to police, on charges related to the homicide. But because he hasn't been formally charged in this case, we are not giving out his name yet. Back to you.
You don't even have to give out his name yet. It is here. Let me get it for you. Because I don't believe in privacy for these people. I don't believe in I don't believe that if you've killed your wife, and even if it's alleged, I think that people have the right to investigate you, know about you a little bit, whatever. Please tell me you put out the name, please. Her husband, Dylan Tobler. Dylan, D-Y-L-A-N. Tobler, T-O-B-L-E-R. Stupid last name, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it's not my fault. She married him. What do you want me to do? I didn't do it. I didn't make them get married. It's my fault. It's my fault these goons got together. I didn't do it. It's you guys. You guys did it. Anyways. Real sad. Prayers for the family. It's unfortunate. I didn't know him. I didn't kill his daughter. What do you want me to do? That's all I can say. He's narrowing the field for the rest of the GOP candidates. Another guy dropped out.
We begin with a major shakeup in the race for Minnesota governor. 2 Republican candidates have dropped out. One for a heartbreaking reason. The other is entering a different race. Esme Murphy has the latest developments and the impact on the governor's race.
Blah, 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 blah. Get to it.
State senator and the GOP endorsed candidate for governor in
Scott
2022.
Jensen.
In a caucus straw poll last week, Jensen got only 6% of the vote, putting him in a distant 4th. Jensen dropped out because he saw little chance of winning.
I think that...
Scott Jensen, I voted against you in the 2022 election, I believe it was, you were running. Because you're cringe. You're just like a cringe old guy. You have the white hair, blue eyes. I'm sorry, I'm not a blue-eyed person. I don't think people with blue eyes should be in positions of power. I'm a brown-eyed supremacist. I've always said that, and I will always believe it.
Facing off against Tim Walz.
This guy looks like he eats lutefisk every day. And he might be a lutefisk eater. That might be fine for the city council of Sleepy Town Hollow, Minnesota. But I don't want that fucker I don't want him leading the state. That's ridiculous. I need a brown-eyed person in there. And I know Tim Walz isn't brown-eyed. That's why I've had an issue.
Would have been a much different scenario than facing off against Amy Klobuchar.
Jensen says he will instead run for state auditor, and at this point will not be endorsing any of his former rivals in the governor's race.
Auditor?
Also dropping out of the GOP governor's race, candidate Jeff Johnson, after his daughter was fatally stabbed to death in an alleged domestic assault in St. Cloud over the weekend. The GOP race still has 9 candidates left. In last week's straw poll, House Speaker Lisa Demuth finished first with about 32% of the vote.
A good brown-eyed gal. Look at her. She's a beautiful brown-eyed gal. I believe that she has the fortitude to lead this state.
Kendall Qualls was second with 25%, and My Pillow CEO Mike Lindell had 17%. Kendall Qualls' campaign says he is not dropping out, and there is no indication Mike Lindell will either.
He's a blue-eyed. Can't do it.
The internal battle will continue through the endorsing convention. If no candidate gets 60% of the delegates at the convention, there will be no endorsement, meaning candidates will continue battling through the August 11th primary. Political analyst Larry Jacob.
What the Republican Party needs to do is unify behind one candidate. If they spend the next 4 or 5 months ripping each other apart, whoever emerges as the nominee will be damaged.
On the DFL side of things, there is no intra-party battling. No serious challenger has emerged to take on Senator Amy Klobuchar, and Klobuchar easily won last week's caucus straw poll. At the Capitol, Esme Murphy, WCCO News.
Thank you, WCCO. I think it's going to be chick versus chick. It's going to be like one of those pay-per-view matches that a lot of the boys, they were like, they do women's wrestling now. That was back whenever. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, cool. We've never had this before. I love a good ladies SmackDown. That's going to be fun. You know, this is a Minnesota first, and for like a rather blue state that claims that we're so progressive, like I'm curious if they're going to make them do mud wrestling or something like that, because that's the energy that this state really gives. It's like, oh, progressive on the surface, but deep down, we still have the urge to watch two ladies fucking go at it in the mud, and that's exactly what we're going to do, folks. Two bitches are going to wrestle each other in the mud this election season, and I can't wait for it. And one of them will be governor. And if you want my call for it right now, Kalshi, Minnesota governor race outcome. Kalshi, what are the predictions saying? If you want my prediction right now, let's go with the Kalshi markets. The Republican Party has only a 12% chance. Democratic Party has a 91% chance. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and call it right now. A Republican has not won a major state election since 2006. I really don't know that the momentum will be there for her to win it, but I've been surprised in the past. I've been surprised. Whatever. Lisa Damuth could be our next governor. We don't know. You don't know. I don't know. We could just let's see where the time and the tides bring us, folks. Only time will tell. We'll cover it as the story continues. But in the meantime, folks, let's begin our rapid fire section of today's headlines. A lot of shit we got to talk about. Keep your media diet healthy. I can't dedicate 3 to 4 paragraphs to everything, so we're just going to blow through a couple things that I think are important. You got to know about, like, for example, the social media companies. They're facing a massive trial now for allegedly creating addictive platforms. What? You mean to tell me that social, like the places like Facebook and the shit like that, like YouTube, are making like things that like put stuff in front of you to keep your attention and keep you watching? What? That's not, no. What are you talking about?
Trial in a landmark social media case.
Really? This is landmark?
Parent company Meta and Google's YouTube are accused of deliberately creating addictive platforms.
No.
The plaintiffs are hoping to hold the tech giants accountable for harm to kids who use these social sites. TikTok and Snap were originally part of this trial, but settled outside of court. CBS News senior business and technology correspondent Jolene Kent is following this for us and joined us from LA. Good morning, Jolene. So what happened in court yesterday? This is quite a big deal.
Quite a big deal.
Errol, you're right. Good morning. This was a big deal. Opening statements began yesterday in a landmark trial against Meta and Google. And this is the first trial of several coming this year. And it marks the first time these companies will face a jury. And LA Superior Court plaintiffs allege that Instagram and YouTube are intentionally designed to be addictive and harmful, claiming that infinite scroll and the suggested content algorithms have contributed to teens' alleged addiction and decline in overall mental health.
I would love to say this. Yeah. No one's putting a gun to your head and making you scroll. No one's putting a gun to your head and making you doom scroll. I don't care if you're a kid. I don't care if you're any of this. Personal responsibility has to come in. And by the way, if you're a child, your parents should be taking responsibility of this. And if they're not, they're lazy pieces of shit who do not care if you develop like a dissociative mental disorder where you can't even look people in the fucking eye. They don't care. They don't care about these things. And honestly, I cannot wait for Gen Z people to start raising children, because they're going to mess these kids up real bad. They're going to be on their phones all the time. They're going to be negligent. They're not going to be present. There are going to be some examples of trad parents who are getting it right. You know, very little screen time. They're making their kids read. They're making them play with blocks, whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? They're making their kids actually do tactile things that are making them learn. Nobody's doing that anymore. Nobody really wants to do that, quite frankly. Nobody wants that, like, and you talk to people my age, they're going like, yeah, kids are cringe. Yeah, man, I'd rather go to the OB and I'd rather party all night, or I'd rather get another cat. People's interests are just not where they were for like family building, doing anything of value with their time and their community, nothing. It's whatever. People are welcome to spend their lives how they'd like. I'm spending it doing this, so I'm no one to criticize anybody. Ladies and gentlemen, let's keep going. UK and the US are sinking to new lows in the global corruption rankings, folks. This is kind of gay, and I disagree with it. The Transparency International Corruption Perceptions Index, which, don't talk about who it's backed by. We're not gonna. It's just the Transparency International Corruption Perceptions Index. What does that even mean? Who decides that? Whatever. Let's just not look into any of it. The United Kingdom and the United States are falling sharply in the global governance integrity, with the United States is recording at its lowest score ever, and the UK dropping significantly over the last decade. I mean, it's not just that's dropped over the last few decades. The number of children named William has been sharply decreasing, and the number of kids named Mohammed has been sharply increasing. Whatever that means, I don't know what to tell you. According to some people at the BBC, the British countryside is still too white. We need to make it a nicer place for Muslims to live. And I go, okay, if that's what your country wants to do, that's very curious. But whatever. The Israeli PM Netanyahu has rushed to Washington for urgent talks with Trump. Is that interesting? Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, in my opinion, is always interesting. He's cut short his scheduled engagement with Donald Trump in talks focused in Iran, particularly about curbing Tehran's missile program and regional proxy activity. There's a lot more tensions in regards to the United States nuclear negotiations with Iran, but whatever. He's just here to visit, guys. He's here to visit, and Trump's here to be a good goy. EU commissions are also pushing deep single market reform amid the geopolitical strain. The European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen called for a deepening in the EU's single market and cutting outdated regulations to boost competitiveness. Her proposals are coming ahead of a critical EU summit alongside concerns over Russia and Ukraine conflict escalation, internal resistance from some member states, and rising friction between European security priorities. I mean, besides that, whatever, the United States immigration funding fight is still going on. The federal immigration officials are under congressional scrutiny as the Department of Homeland Security funding negotiations are still stalling. Republicans and Democrats are clashing over the enforcement practices. We've been covering that for the longest time. They're probably going to be doing it until the summer. Let's just, let's keep it up. Trump's also immigration chiefs are testifying amid the backlash over protester deaths. Top leaders of ICE, CBP, USCIS as well are testifying before Congress following the death of 2 protesters in the enforcement operations. Whatever. Yeah, they're gonna hold them. They're gonna really hold them accountable, guys. Whatever. UK politics are also being rocked by a low now public trust and calls for reform amid the broader corruption index news, with the UK Labour leadership facing new criticism over ethics and donation practices. Public trust in politics is at historic lows, and major reforms from donation caps to ethic watchdogs are being debated to restore confidence in the democratic institutions. I'm not a Brit, so I can't tell you what's going to make them believe in their country again. All I know is that they need something to rejuvenate them. They need something. There's a lot of also criticism that's mounting in Europe over the U.S. foreign policy under Trump. New international report, including analysis by the Munich Security Conference, is urging European leaders to become more assertive and less reliant on the United States leadership. It's citing concerns over the perceived authoritarian shifts in Washington's policies. if you believe us to be an authoritarian regime, I still don't believe us to be that, and the people who are have TikTok brain. That's okay. It's like the same people who believe that New York is an anti-gay hellscape. It's a homophobic hellscape or whatever. The Iran diaspora is also protests are sparking globally, guys. There's a solidarity push, not just on TikTok. Mass protests in Iran are driven by the economic struggles and the political repression are gaining international stability. They're in the regions, they're planting their flags, there's people out in front of the Capitol buildings. They're calling for a global day of action on February 14th and are urging security forces to join the movement. No, not going to happen. Everybody's busy that day. Everybody's wife will be very upset with them if they go, hi, sorry, honey, we got to do, I'm sorry, there's this Iran thing that happened and she's like, we've had this day planned for months. It's literally a holiday for a reason. And it's fine. It's perfectly fine and reasonable. I understand that. And I say the wives will be upset because it is international militaries. They do not have women fighting their battles. I'm sorry. It's just a fact. The Munich Security Conference draws world leaders to debate security crisis. The 62nd Munich Security Conference has begun this week in Germany with senior diplomats and heads of state set to address the global security challenges, including cyber threats, war in the Ukraine, and U.S.-China-Europe tensions. Well, quit talking about us, folks. You focus on your German issues. That's what you guys should worry about. And speaking of things we should worry about, folks, that's the end of the rapid fire section. And in all honesty, I'm going to be so honest with you. The next section of this episode is optional viewing because we're going to be tuning in to the goy slop of the day, which obviously will be the Nancy Guthrie update, the Savannah posting a new video, pleading for help, all that shit. We will get to that in a second. I just wanted to give you ample warning that the rest of this video is optional viewing. We're just going to be reviewing the new bits of the case that they're revealing that is obviously meant to keep us good goyim satiated and ready to hear whatever story they have for us next. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the heartbreaking update. It's heartbreaking. Let's just do it. In a heartbreaking update, guys, the ongoing search for Nancy Guthrie, her daughter, the show co-anchor of the Today Show, Savannah Guthrie, she released a new, deeply personal video pleading for the public's help because she's going to be in your backyard, I guess? I don't know what these people are expecting the actual result of their videos to be. I don't know what their end goal is because honestly, they're saying that we need everybody. We need everybody, all hands on deck. And I'm going, what are we supposed to do? I'm in the Midwest. I can't, she's not in my backyard. I'm sorry to say it. I know that you guys think that all Hicks are the same and that all of Middle America is the same land, but I'm sorry. She's not hiding in a shed in my backyard. Savannah, I'm talking. I'm sorry. I hit unmute accidentally and she started talking. We're going to play that clip so that you guys know exactly what she's talking about. You guys look in your basement because apparently you might have her. If you in Des Moines, Iowa, you listening to this right now might have Savannah Guthrie's mother in your backyard. You just haven't looked hard enough. You just haven't looked.
Vowing to pay it. We believe our mom is still out there. Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock trying to bring her home, trying to find her.
A spokesperson for the FBI
whatever.
tells me they're not aware of any continued conversations between the Guthrie family and possible kidnappers. The FBI, along with the Pima County Sheriff's Department, has yet to identify a suspect or a person of interest in the case.
They are being transparent, but they're not going to give everything because they just can't at this point.
Well, new developments in this investigation feel slow-moving. Troy Hillman, a retired Phoenix police detective, tells me there's likely a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, they're towing away cars, they're doing all of that, they're collecting all the evidence they need to throw her and her siblings in jail. They're gonna catch you fucking charlatans, they're gonna catch you people faking this fucking poor woman's kidnapping. She's dead, by the way. This is just like Fargo. When the kidnappers, they hired some fucking idiots, they hired Steve Buscemi and the big guy who's quiet, and she's dead. She's dead because they took her to some cabin and they are not actually paid professionals. They're actually just fucking schmoes. We're in a Coen Brothers movie right now, and that's exactly what's happening. No one wants to admit it. But Savannah Guthrie is the William H. Macy, that or her sister is, and they are going to be in a hotel in Bismarck, and they're going to be getting arrested by the state police here pretty soon. Let's review her plead to the public, ladies and gentlemen. Her plead with you. Let's go.
Hi there, everybody.
Hi, Savannah.
I wanted to come on and just share a few thoughts
Really?
as we enter into another week of this nightmare.
Didn't you say her medication, she needs it every 10 hours or she dies? She's dead! She's dead! What are you talking about? We hope that she's still out there, guys. Oh my god, what do you think? They raided a veterinarian's clinic and they found your mom or where do you think, how are they keeping her alive? What are you talking about? You're faking this. You know your mother's dead. You know it's happening. You know it's over. It's over. This is a cope.
I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for all of the prayers and the love that we have felt, my sister and brother and I.
Yeah.
And that our mom has felt.
How do you know she's felt it? How do you know she's felt it? Do you know for a fact? Because, I mean, you might be in the cabin with her when she's, she's like, where are we going? And then they all disguise their voices and whatnot. And then she's like, oh, that's my kids. I recognize them faking their voice any day. I'm actually okay. And then they're taking her to a cabin where she's going to either freeze to death or fall over and crack her head. It's unfortunate, but this is all a farce. This is all a scheme.
Because we believe that somehow, some way, she is feeling these prayers, and that God is lifting her even in this moment and in this darkest place.
I'm sure.
We believe our mom is still out there.
Didn't you say you were ready to pay? The $6 million wasn't deposited into the Bitcoin account. You didn't get... What is happening? Does anybody realize that this is all bullshit? This is not real. None of this is real.
We need your help.
You do? To help find your mom that you threw in a van?
Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock trying to bring her home, trying to find her.
Yeah, I'm sure
She was taken and we don't know where.
She was taken.
And we need your help.
What? How do you need my help?
So I'm coming on just to ask you, not just for your prayers, but
if you see
no matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, you hear anything, if there's anything at all that...
You're calling for a national rat campaign where it's like, oh, my neighbor's acting a little weird. They might have Savannah Guthrie's mom in her apartment. What are you doing?
It seems strange to you.
They make native women disappear off of highways. It's called the Highway of Tears for sex trafficking. You think anybody gives a fuck about your 85, 84-year-old mom? Listen, everybody goes, oh, it's so tragic. It's so tragic. She had a life to live. No one freaks out this bad when children go missing. No case where a child has gone missing has gone this national in years, in decades. It just doesn't happen. This woman I'm sorry to say it, she lived a full life. She lived a very happy full life. She raised beautiful kids that are clearly very successful. They're living in nice homes in Tucson. What I'm trying to say is that this woman, she lived her entire life. She's not like a kid. When a kid goes missing, it is deeply tragic. When a kid goes missing because you go, they had their entire life to live. Well, she kind of lived her whole life. She did. She was 84. You know what I mean? That's longer than most grandmas get to live. My grandma cracked out before she even got to 80. That's what I mean. It sucks, but that's just how people live. It's like, okay, yeah, you got her for 70 something years or like however 40 years when she maybe had you when you were 30, she was 30. So like you got her for 40 years. That's how long you're supposed to get your mom. If you're lucky. But now nobody wants to just say the uncomfortable thing that it's like, oh yeah, old women will go missing sometimes. And maybe there's ski people out in front of their house. I realize I'm doing what people do with the Epstein files where they're going like, hey, some people, they just go missing. They just disappear and they just they're trafficked to billionaire pedophiles and whatnot. And billionaires will always just be doing that billionaire pedophile shit. And I'm just making the excuse for the like, oh shit, the masked people, whoever it was, because guess what? Guess who the masked people were? It was her brother. It was definitely her brother. You look at this mask footage. It looks fake. This looks like out of a movie.
we are at an hour of desperation. And we need your help.
We need your help. Guys, we need your help. Final thing, and I will let you all go, because this, it needs to happen. FBI has released images of armed individual outside of Nancy Guthrie's home. The dead-eyed look in this ski-masked person, this looks like her brother, or it looks like someone that the family hired.
Trevor Alt now, he's been on this story from the very beginning as well.
Hurry.
Trevor, I guess...
Get to it.
Then they essentially said that the Guthrie family didn't have a subscription with Google Nest, that's who owns these surveillance companies, and so then while they do take some of the footage, it would be deleted very quickly. They were trying to get it recovered. We know the FBI brought in, as part of their task force, experts in data recovery, and it got to the point where it looked like these images were lost. Now, we don't know 100% how they were able to obtain them or recover them. A warrant does seem very likely. As you can imagine, often surveillance companies are not quick to hand over images or footage after they have told you we're deleting it inside your own home after it is taken. But in this instance,
guess what?
You could understand why.
They hired somebody. They hired somebody to go stand outside of their mom's house for a minute so that they would have a new, fresh nugget of information to release. This is all choreographed and bullshit. This is all fake. This is all nonsense. And everybody knows it. Everybody knows that this, sadly to say it, this woman is already dead. Her kids, their well wishes, no matter what, they probably are the ones who did it. They're probably the ones who paid for her to get kidnapped, or they're the ones who did it themselves. It was a Fargo type operation. It was a scheme from the start, and no one wants to talk about it honestly, because no one wants to say that this woman is dead and we should all just move on. No one wants to say that, unfortunately. But everybody would say that if it was a child who was a victim of Epstein. They'd go, oh, it was a billionaire who was just a fucky whatever with a kid. You know, a kid who had his or her whole life to live. You know, sure, this 84-year-old, she lived her entire life. She was very happy. She had children. She was very fulfilled. Let's focus on that story, that real tragedy of old lived life suddenly going missing to like fucking bumfuck nowhere. Let's not pivot our discussion and our attention to the lives that were lost as a result of Epstein. Let's not pay attention to that whatsoever. That's the goal here, people. And if you don't see that, that's okay. Because ultimately, that's just my opinion, folks. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, people. I had a fun time gathering these stories for you. I had a fun time ribbing. I had a fun time getting into it. You know what I mean? We do that shit here. We have fun. We got the rest of this week, Monday through Friday. You know how we do it. Subscribe if you want more, like if you liked it. Ring the bell if you want notifications. But in the meantime, folks, I will catch you in tomorrow's broadcast. This has been your Brain on Air with Ollie Vogt Larson. Thank you so much for listening, and bye-bye.